Welcome to science class. So today we are going to learn about a new chapter, that is chapter 12, friction. So beginning with the lesson, in this lesson there are too many activities that tells about the concept of friction. So before starting with the lesson, we will see a video of an activity, and what do we observe in this activity we will learn. So in this activity, there is a table and there is a book on the table. So here we are moving the book from left to right. First we are pushing the book from left to right, and you can see the book moves to a certain extent and it stops. Okay. So can we see that a force must be acting on the book opposing its motion? So why didn't the book move further? That is a question. So when we push the book moved to a certain distance and it stopped. Why did it stop? Why did it didn't move forward? Okay, what stopped the book? So that is what we are learning. And again, so they are assuming that it may be the force of friction that stopped the book. Okay, then again, the force is from the left side and maybe the friction is from the right side. So if the book is moved from left side, okay, the book is moved from the left side and the book is stopped in the middle. And why does the book stop? Why didn't the book move further? It may be because of the action of friction from the right side. Okay, the next we will see the book is moved from the right side. Okay, it is pushed from the right side, the book moves and it stops because the friction acts from the left side. So that is what they are telling, that if you apply force along the right, the friction acts along the left side, and if the force is along the left, the friction will be along the right. So that is what they are telling. And also there is a friction between the surface of the book and the surface of the table. Okay, and you can see that there is a lot of difference between the ball moving from in a smooth surface and a ball moving in a rough surface. So even the surface also matters. Okay, so if ball is moving in a smooth surface, the ball can easily move. Understood? It goes to a long distance and it stops. Of course, there is friction in smooth surface also, but the friction is less in smooth surface and the friction is more in rough surface. That is why the ball stops immediately. So again we can see. Okay, so the ball is moving in a smooth surface to a longer time, and in the rough surface the ball stops. So this is the activity at the starting of the lesson itself, okay, about friction. Okay, so what did we learn from here? Okay, a short conclusion from the activity. The force of friction is the force which opposes the motion of an object over a surface. So whenever an object is moving, okay, when we apply force, there is always a force that opposes the motion of the object, and that force is called friction force. The friction means the force that opposes the motion of an object. The force of friction acts between the object and the surface. So where does the force of friction acts? Between the object and the surface. Okay, always think that force of friction means it is always an opposing force. It will not allow the object to move. It will oppose. Okay, it tries to stop, but it tries to stop from the opposite direction. Okay, if the object is moving to the right, the friction will be through the left. So opposite direction the friction will act. And also see these examples are very common. The ball rolling on the ground gradually slows down and comes to rest due to force of friction between the ball and the ground. So if there was no friction between the ball and the ground, the ball will not stop. Okay, So if we stop pedaling a bicycle, that is another example, it gradually slows down and comes to stop due to the force of friction between the wheel and the road. So this is also, if you stop pedaling a bicycle, it will gradually stop because of the friction between the wheel and the road. So there is friction everywhere. So in this lesson we will learn about so many examples, so many day-to-day examples where we come across the force of friction. So in this lesson we will also learn how friction is useful, how friction is harmful to us, or how it is causing trouble, that we will learn. And see, in this picture you can see the friction is always in the opposite direction. Force will be in the other direction, the friction will be in the opposite direction. So that is what they are told. And again they are telling an activity, that is activity 12.2. So earlier we have learned about activity 12.1. So now we are learning about activity 12.2. This is a very simple activity. This simple activity tells that how can we reduce the friction, means whether what are the factors affecting friction. So I already told that the surface is the first factor that affects the force of friction. If the surface is smooth, the friction will be less. If the surface will be rough, the friction will be more. So for that we are doing an activity, that is they have taken a brick, okay, ittige, so that is brick, and they have tied a string or thread for that brick, and with the help of a spring balance we are, see, this hook is inserted into the string, okay, which we have tied around the brick, and we are pulling this string, okay, pulling this with the help of the spring balance we are pulling this brick. So, and this is all this experiment is conducted on a surface, on a ground or on a table, okay. So what will happen, you know that brick is having a rough surface. Brick is always having a rough surface, isn't it? So when we pull this brick with a spring balance, we can see that there is too much of force acting, okay. Because of the rough surface, what will happen, there will be more friction, and there will be, and it will okay, it is very difficult to pull the brick, okay. But next what they are doing, you know, they are telling to tie to wrap a piece of polythene. So around the brick what we have to do, we have to wrap this brick with the help of a polythene bag, plastic, okay. So plastic is having a smooth surface, and again after wrapping with the polythene bag, again if you pull this brick, the brick easily moves. So why we are using this spring balance, means spring balance is used to measure the force acting on an object, how much force we are pulling this object, okay. We can also use to get the weight also, spring balance, okay. We can also, it is also used to see the weight also, and but here we are using to know the force, with how much force we are pulling the brick. So in which case the brick moves faster. So when we wrap a polythene bag around the brick will move easily, and the force is very less. The force needed for the brick to move forward is very less, because because of the smooth surface around the brick, because we have we have wrapped a polythene bag. But if there is no polythene bag, there is the surface, both the floor or a table and the brick surface will be having more friction, and it is very difficult for the brick, okay, to move forward. So it will take more force. So this is what they are telling about the nature of the surface. And the next activity is this activity, okay. So that is what the first factor is, nature of the surface. That is what we have learned. To understand this nature of the surface, this brick experiment is there, and also this experiment is there. Okay, see here, friction is less on a smooth surface. So we have, what we are doing is, we have taken a inclined plane, okay, with this inclined plane. Inclined plane means you can do with your books, okay, book also, something you have to create a slope like structure with the help of this inclined plane. At the front of the inclined plane, here what they have done is they have taken a, it may be a table, the smooth table, okay, it may be a smooth table, but in the next arrangement you can see that a piece of cloth is taken here, okay, a piece of cloth is taken here. Here it is a smooth surface, that is it may be a table or a glass, something like that. This is smooth surface, this is rough surface, okay, and this is inclined plane. You can arrange it with your book also. And they have taken a pencil cell, okay, cell they have taken, and they are allowing this cell to roll from here to down. And the same in the second arrangement also, they are allowing the cell to move from here to here, and you can see that the cell moves to a long distance in a smooth surface, but whereas this cloth is a rough surface, the cell doesn't move to a long surface. So these experiments tell that the friction depends upon the nature of surface. Smooth, more the smoothness, the friction will be less. If the surface is rough, the friction will be more. And next we will learn how hard the surface pressed together. Okay, for that we will see a video. So you can see that rough surface and the smooth surface, it is very easy for you to move the objects in a smooth surface, okay, but it is very difficult for you to push the object in a rough surface because both they are pressed each other, okay. And they have told the activity of the book also that we have seen, okay, this activity we have seen. And okay, so the opposing force is called friction, and friction also enable us to walk on the ground. So if there is less friction, what will happen? So less friction is caused because if there is a watery surface, soap surface, there will be less friction and we will fall. So friction also help us to walk. That is what they are telling in this video. So due to water, if there is less friction, we may fall, we are unable to walk, okay. So smooth surface means less friction, okay, rough surface means more friction, so greater the friction, okay. So this we have seen, okay. See, can you see the irregularities? Irregularities are interlocked, we can see, but in the first picture you can see the irregularities are not interlocked. That's why it is very easy to move easily. So see here, can you see the interlock? In the first picture they can show us that the interlock is not more, but in the second picture down you can see the irregularities both are fixed together, okay? Both the irregularities are deeply locked, that is called interlocked. But in the first picture the interlock is not more, okay, there is gap, that is why we can move the object easily. But in the second, at the down picture, you can see that the interlock is so tightly packed that it is very difficult for you to push the object. That is why it is very difficult to push the object if it is a rough surface, okay. And so we were learning about what extent to which surface are pressed upon each other. So if the object is having more weight, the interlock will be more, and if the object is with the object is having less weight, the interlock will be less. So see, can you see? So for a the object which is having more weight box, can you see the interlocking? Both the interlock will be more, and that is why it is very difficult for you to push a weighed box or weighed object, okay. But whereas an empty box will be having less irregularities. Okay, So see here, this is a weight object. This object is having more weight. Okay, because it is having more weight, it is more pressed with the surface. Okay, this is having less weight and it is not pressed to that much extent. Now you can see here what causes friction. This is what causes friction. Actually, this is one object and this is the other object surface. Okay, so actually what is happening in between the two surface, okay, there will be friction. So that is clearly shown in this picture. Can you see here? So this is the top object and this is the down object, and can you see the surface of contact? Okay, see the surface of contact, and all the objects or all the surface will be having like these irregularities, and these irregularities are not seen in through our naked eyes. Okay, sometimes we may feel that the object is smooth, but it is not smooth, it is having irregularities. Okay, for example, glass surface, it is very smooth now. Yes, it is very smooth, but also it may be having very light irregularities. Because it is having very less irregularities, you can see the objects that easily roll, especially rolling object like cell and all, it can easily move. But sometimes you can see cloth, surface of the cloth, surface of the soil is having more irregularities. So see here, this is what the irregularities. Both the surfaces having irregularities. So if these irregularities will lock each other, what will happen? It is very difficult for us to push the object. Okay, if the lock is not locked properly, we can easily push the objects. And when does this lock get interlocked tightly? When this top object will be having more weight. For example, can we move the almaras or some cupboards and all very easily? No. Okay, okay, that is what, if more the weight, it is very difficult for us to push the object. Why? Because this interlock will be more, they get more pressed and they get more locked. Okay, but see here, if the surface is smooth, what will happen? Even we can, if the surface is smooth, okay, we can push the even bigger objects also we can push. For example, if in a home, if there is a marble tile or granite tiles at the home, okay, what will happen? It is a smooth surface, means it means almost smooth, not fully smooth. It will be having irregularities, but it is having very less irregularities. In that case, you can easily push your sofas and all. Okay, you can easily push the sofas and all because the surface is smooth. So hope you have understood this. Okay, about the irregularities. So how the friction is caused? Because of the irregularities. And next we will learn about the types of friction. There are 3 types of friction. Okay, the first type of friction is a static friction. Next is sliding friction, and the next is rolling friction. So this about the types of friction we will learn in the next classes.